Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 332 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube. And it's a very, very special one, perhaps the most special one of the year, because it's the final one of the year in which we go through my top 10 list of the best perfumes of the last 12 months, the top 10 best perfumes of 2022. As it is the last video of the year, I should say that if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. And you can find out how you can support my work by clicking on the link to my Ko-fi page below. But we need to find out who the first comment went to. I've been following the conversation that you've been having, because we've got comments going. We've had comments going for the last half an hour or so. So I had to scroll right back up to the top of the chat to discover that the first comment was from Eric, who said, "Happy New Year from foggy Texas. Happy New Year to you as well." Druba is watching from neighboring Arkansas. Lots of people have been writing all sorts of interesting things, sharing what they're wearing. Eric is in Shen today. And what did Anime cry? Hi, Mr. P and everyone watching from the car beside the driving husband from Paris back to the Netherlands. And Annemiek is wearing Frustration from Etalivre d'Orange from the huge sample set I bought in the Etalivre store yesterday. Yashar is saying, "Hey, Mr. P from Stockholm. A Happy New Year, Mr. P and everyone," says Cyrus from Montreal in Canada. Fahmi is watching from Indonesia. Keep the comments coming, but we need to get on, because we've got 10 perfumes that we've got to talk about, and I also want to say a very, very special thank you to all of you as well at the end of the broadcast. Playing chess and listening to you, life is great, says Paolo. Well, I hope that this isn't going to cause you to be so distracted that you lose your chess match, but good luck to you. So, plan for today is obviously that we are going to go through the top 10 list. And this won't mean much if you're watching the recording, but for the benefit of those of you watching live, pretty much as soon as this video finishes, I will then be heading over to Instagram to connect with Alice Duparc's live that she's going to be doing. She's going to be presenting from 5 o'clock a very special episode of her Desert Island Spritz series, which she for today is calling Desert Island Glitz, which will feature me, as well as Sally Hughes and Susie Nightingale and Joe Fairley. But as I say, if you're not watching this live, that isn't going to mean a huge amount to you. And please, please, please let me know what some of your favorite perfumes of the year have been. Doesn't matter if they have been new, whatever has been, whatever you've discovered for the first time. And also at the top of the next hour, the blog post on persolaise.com that always goes with the video, the best of blog post, will go live, so you'll be able to read perhaps a few more thoughts on the videos, on the perfumes that I'm going to present to you now. But I think we need to make a start. I'm always a little bit nervous about this one. I haven't seen any other best of lists so far, so I have no idea what kind of an overlap we're going to have. Just a few very, very, very quick thoughts on what the year has been like overall. I go into this in a little bit more detail in the blog post, which is going to be going live soon. I suppose I would have to say that it hasn't been a vintage year. It hasn't been an exceptionally good year. Maybe that's not surprising. Maybe that's because of everything that's been going on in the world. The sort of tail end that all of the difficult experiences that we had in 2020, 2021. I think it's going to take a while for things to improve, and therefore for perfume brands and creators to start feeling a little bit more confident, to be bold, to be daring, to be polarizing. But having said that, there were lots and lots of great pieces of work released, and I'm really pleased to be able to share 10 of them with you. And I was thinking of whether there's anything that links them. And if there is anything, then it's this idea of maybe taking a very, 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 very familiar structure and just giving it a twist that isn't just this heading into the realms of the bizarre. And I wondered if maybe that's what some creators decided that they have to do in order to stand out from the sort of drabness that most of the releases seem to be. And that kind of applies to at least 8 of the 10 scents that I've got here, because I'm just looking at them now, and they're almost all of them structures that we know and are very, very familiar with, but every single one hasn't gone for just a little bit of a twist, or most of them haven't gone for just a little bit of a twist. They've actually gone for something that is quite peculiar as their twist. Carambola Dream says, I was blown away by Penhaligon's Malabar from an old Discovery set. Gavin says, I think the guide boom is over. Burlington Arcade in London has lost a lot of boutiques. Yes, that used to be Perfume Central, didn't it? It really isn't now. Angie says, I really enjoyed Chanel's Gabrielle Parfum. I prefer it to the prior iterations of this fragrance. I would agree. I think it's the best Gabrielle of the Gabrielles so far. Okay, we need to make a start though. And I think I'll start with the two for which I don't have full bottles, and it just so happens that actually both of them were from sort of fairly early on in the year. Here we go. So perfume number one. These are not in any particular order, by the way. So perfume number one from the best perfumes of 22 list. I'd be fascinated to know what you think is coming up as well. Okay, from L'Artisan Parfumeur, composed by Quentin Bisch. This is Iris de Gris, or Iris de Gris. Thank you very much, by the way, Scentify. I sort of miss those when people do those things. Thank you very much. Let's have a spray. This, I've got very, very, very little left in this vial, and I keep looking at the L'Artisan site to see if it's reduced or if there's a discount code or anything that I can use, because I think I really, really want to splash out and get a full bottle of this for myself, but it's one of the pricier ones. But I think I've decided that it'll be worth it. Now, price of perfumes through the roof lately, says Karen. Yes, I agree. Now, Iris de Gris was a part of a series that L'Artisan did, as I say, quite early in the year, called Le Potager, where the idea was to take inspiration from vegetables and vegetal notes within the context of familiar structures. So this is an iris. It's a very, very green scent. It absolutely recalls pieces of work like Chanel No. 19, and yet the greenness is of a type, maybe thanks to whatever Quentin Bisch has done with the galbanum, that pushes the pea-like note, and I guess that's what makes this one a little bit strange. It's not excessively bizarre, and galbanum has always shared facets with peas and bell peppers and those sorts of vegetables. But I guess here maybe the pea feel, the pea-ness, is just a tiny bit more prominent. So what you get here is a lot of green, maybe that kind of hyacinth vetiver structure, or vetiver hyacinth vetiver combo that you associate with Chanel No. 19 isn't quite so prominent here, because it seems to go much more heavily into the musks. But I thought from the very first moment I smelt this, I thought there was just something very, very, very effortlessly, sweepingly elegant about it. And maybe in a way it's almost a shame that L'Artisan decided to put it in this vegetable context, because I think if they hadn't given it this kind of imagery, with pea pods all over the imagery. Tripsy, thank you very much as well. Very, very kind. Thanks for being you. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you, all of you, for being you. That's really kind. If they hadn't given it that sort of imagery, then I think they could have really presented. They could have presented it as a really supremely classic vintage type scent, maybe in the manner of Frederic Malle Synthetic Jungle. But I think in some ways this is more wearable. It's more approachable. Do you get a lot of penis out of it? Says Host Beef. Not too much. I get a bit, but not too much, and I think that's why I like this one. Is geranium a veggie scent? If so, Rose and Queer ruined it for me. No, I don't think geranium is veggie-like. Eric says, I still haven't gotten to try this collection, but I sure do want to try the cauliflower one. I forget off the top of my head which one that was, but I was quite taken with the beetroot one. Was that I think that may have been the musk, or the no, yeah, that was the musk, not the vetiver. I can't remember. Love Iris de Gris. It does have a vintage feel, says Rachel. So yes, here we go. First one to get us going. And then the other one, for which I don't have a full bottle, again, from early in the year, is from Masque Milano, composed by Stephanie Bakouche. This was Sleight of Fern. And I remember thinking at the very, very start of the year that this one would kind of stay on my mind, stay in my thoughts, right up and through until the end of the year. And I didn't want to carry on using the vial because I had a feeling that I would need the vial at the end of December when I came to doing this video, and I turned out to be right. Now this is fascinating. I still think the name is pretty poor or awkward. The name is awkward. It's the kind of name that maybe works for somebody for whom English isn't their mother tongue, and I say that with the greatest respect to the people behind the brand, but the name feels odd. But you can also see the sense behind the name, because this is a very, very, very modern, unusual, interesting take on the fougere structure, so hence the fern in the name. And the sleight of fern, I suppose, is meant to convey this idea that the fougere structure is being conveyed or conjured through a bit of magic, through a bit of olfactory wizardry. Lieselot says, Persolaise and the never-ending joy of his videos, right until the very end of the year, in flu and in health. That's very, very sweet. Thank you. Watching from my sickbed, much less party-ready than you are. I hope you will get better soon. Everyone from around the world is sending you very, very positive thoughts right now. Sleight of Fern, says Rachel, what a dry down. It is really interesting. And what I was really taken with this one is that somehow that barbershop, refined, suave, well-groomed, gent fougeriness is conveyed very, very accurately and very convincingly. And yet there's also this kind of strange, camphoraceous, medicinal feel, which is extremely attractive as well. I really, really liked it. And again, another one where I thought, wonder if I can afford a full bottle. I wonder if I can allow myself to get a full bottle. So we will see. Maybe these will be like, after the post-Christmas lull, when all of the crazy expenditure has been dealt with, I'll start thinking about getting full bottles of these. It's the L'Artisan that I'm particularly worried about, because I wouldn't be surprised if that gets discontinued very soon. Olfactory wizardry, I should print that out and put it on top of my perfume cabinet, says Yashar. Absolutely. I think sleight of hand like the performing magic, says Karen. Yes, absolutely. That is what it's a reference to. Masque Milano has a solid lineup, says Sharon LeBlanc. Love Kills and La Tessa are two of my favorites. And I'm pretty sure we had one from them, or did we have one from one of their sort of offshoot brands on the list last year? Devour Their Souls, very, very, very kind. Thank you so much. I love all your content. Please stay on that track, says Devour Their Souls. I will do my very, very best to in the coming year. Really, really kind. Thank you. Almost embarrassingly kind. I'm going to start blushing here now. But Sleight of Fern, I almost said sleight of hand. Yeah, so you've got the sort of lavenderiness, the geranium, the mintiness, mossiness in the base, and yet somehow it all feels as though it's shot through with metal and silver and mercury, as though it's a sort of fern that's been constructed over on the dark side of some asteroid somewhere far away. Really, really interesting, really, really interesting, and well done. Okay, so those are the two for which I'm afraid I cannot show off full bottles. Let us move on then. Recently discovered Petra from Masque Milano. Love it, says Claire. Okay. Next up, what order shall we go in? Okay, let's do it this way. Next up is one which was fairly recent, and this is recent to me. This actually, as far as I'm aware, is from 2021. So for a lot of you, this may have been something that you smelt first time last year, but I only came to it this year. It is from Ulrich Lang, their latest one called Lethe. Gavin says 2 greens so far. See, I don't consider the Sleight of Fern to be all-out green. It is more of a fougere, but anyway, this one definitely isn't green. Lethe from Ulrich Lang. I still think it's a shame, even though I have a lot of time for Mr. Lang, and I hope that he comes back to London soon one day so I can meet up with him again. I really wish he would reveal the identities of his perfumers, or at least tell us why he doesn't reveal the identities of his perfumers, but he doesn't, and so I don't officially know who the perfumer is behind this one. I don't know why I'm saying I don't officially know. I also don't know unofficially. I don't know at all. Underrated brand, in my opinion, says Magdalene. Do you mean the Ulrich Lang? Because yes, I mean, as you know, I love Apsu. I love some of their earlier releases. This is very different from the first two that we've had so far, because Sleight of Fern is quite large, it is quite loud, I suppose. It is quite assertive. The L'Artisan as well doesn't mind making its presence known, but Lethe is completely the other end of the spectrum, and it does that silence, it does that quiet subtlety extremely well. Really, really, really appropriate that it's named after a river that wipes your memory away, because there's something very, very, very deceptively gentle about it. So rather than a sledgehammer that knocks you out, it sort of intoxicates you with silence. It intoxicates you with delicacy. It's a very, very, very delicate scent, very, very gentle scent. It's a river in hell, isn't it? Says Gavin. I'm not an expert on the mythology, but yes, I think you're right. I think it's part of the underworld, isn't it, Lethe? Classicists amongst you, please correct us or enlighten us. More Hades, says Gavin. Yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, Emma's correcting us. Yes, it's a river in Hades. Okay. What you get here, for those of you who haven't smelt it, is a very, very gentle ambery base, and on top of that, a very, very clear kind of cedary note. It's really not a million miles away from Paloma Picasso Minotaur from many, many years ago. And a lot of you will be aware that Parle-moi de Parfum, the brand that was co-founded by the man who made Paloma Picasso Minotaur, Michel Almerac, he did his own kind of follow-up to Minotaur this year called Wake Up World. That's not going to be on the list, even though I think it's a very, very good perfume. But this is an interesting reference to that kind of Minotaur structure as well, because it's got that kind of slightly tart fruit apple-y note at the top, moving on to the cedar, probably lots of isoe super, and then a very, very gentle amber base. But what's interesting about this one is that it's gentle, it's delicate, it's quiet, it's restrained, it's understated, but it does last. It doesn't fade away. I have Apsu and Nightscape, says Magdalene, and love both, but the brand has been hard to come by in my end of Denmark. Oh, okay, that's a shame. I wonder if you could contact them directly. Oh, Yashar says a small token of gratitude for all the amazing content you made for us. That's so kind that I'm a little bit speechless. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. You don't need to do that, but thank you. Tripsy says, Lethe, yes, it's a river that traffics in loss mediated through journeys through the underworld. Interesting. And yeah, this it's fascinating that he decided to go for something quiet as a kind of memory stripping device. Oh, Devour Their Souls. Thank you. I'm not, as you know, I'm not used to this kind of thing happening. So thank you so much, folks. I hope I need to sort of stay focused and not get distracted. Thank you. I'm sure I do not deserve this. We need to move on. Fourth perfume. I wonder if this is the perfume that is going to feature in a lot of people's lists. It is difficult in the perfume world because there are so many releases out there, and because those of us in the critical community, I think, don't communicate with each other as much as we used to. And also, there aren't so many of us doing this kind of thing anymore. You know, when I think back to maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there were more serious blogs out there. There were more serious YouTube channels out there. And then when you got to the end of the year and you got the best of lists, you would find 2 or 3 perfumes that would appear on most people's lists, if not all people's lists. And you'd think, okay, well, they clearly are the ones that have sort of stood head and shoulders above all of the others, and maybe will go down in the years to come as, you know, genuinely the best perfumes of that particular period in time. That kind of consensus seems to be occurring a lot less now. But I think this is maybe going to be one of the perfumes that we're going to be seeing on several lists. And it is from just a few months ago by Christine Nagel, her latest edition. Oh, hang on, let me just show it somehow so that you can actually see the name. Can you see that? There's too much glare from the light, too much reflection. This is Hermes Violette Volynka, addition to the Hermescence range, and really, really well done violet leather. Now, again, that violet leather idea, that violet leather combo is by no means new. Great perfume, says Rachel. Love Violette Volynka. Couldn't that also be because there are so many releases all the time, says Maudlin? Yes, there are tons of releases, but maybe not significantly more than there were 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, the number seems to be still hovering around about the 2000 mark, which is tons. I mean, that is an insane number of new perfumes. Violet leather is catnip to perfumistas, says Gavin. Yes, you're absolutely right. Nagel does that so well, says SMC. Such a perfect blend of polar opposites again. And yeah, and I think you've completely hit on what I like about this one, is that it really does the contrasts between the violet and the leather so well. A lot of other violet perfumes go for a kind of harmonious blend between the two, which is fine. You know, that I think back to the first Bottega Veneta scent, which also I think was by Michel Almerac, which is a really, really kind of classic violet leather. Then there's the one from Armani Privé, which I forget, was it Queer Amethyst? I think somebody will correct me. That was a kind of very, very classic violet leather. They seem to go for trying to make the two facets seamless. What Nagel has done here, which is really interesting, is that she has got obviously a sense of harmony, but you really also detect and enjoy the two separate elements, and it's like a little battle between the violet and the leather. And it starts off with the violet being quite demure and gentle and quite sweet, and you think maybe it's going to be overpowered by the leather, and yet it never is. The two go along side by side each other extremely effectively, which then of course makes you think that you start sort of conjuring all sorts of ideas in your head about it being gender fluid and about it being binary and non-binary. It throws up all of those sorts of issues and questions as you wear it. You know, how masculine is it? How feminine is it? How demure is it? How assertive is it? How sweet is it? How dry is it? She's done a brilliant job. She's done a brilliant job of somehow harnessing all of those contrasts and presenting them in a way that manages to feel cohesive. Hard to be jolly madame, says DJ. Well, yeah, I suppose that's the kind of classic violet leather, but this is good. And also it's a scent that you need to give yourself a little bit of time to appreciate. When I first smelt it, I liked it, but I didn't actually think it would end up on my list of the top 10 of the year, and yet I found myself reaching for it time and time again. Received Violette Volynka, says Ringo, today with Cuir d'Ange and made it my scent of the day. The dry down is fantastic. Yes, absolutely. And also the dry down isn't quite what you think it's going to be, because the dry down isn't all leather. That violet feel does not disappear. It stays there all the way through to the end somehow. So well done, Christine Nagel. I think I'm right in saying that since Nagel took over at Hermes, I've included at least one perfume from her in each of my best scents of the year. I think I need to look back and see. David, hello all. I'm late but grateful to be here, and I am so grateful to see you here, David. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And let's do one more so that we're at the halfway mark. Okay, something very, very different from what we've had. Well, actually, is it different? I guess it shares a kind of leathery facet. This is from Nathalie Gracia-Cetto, from Penhaligons. I think one of the best Penhaligons that we've had for a long time, and that ring light is causing so many reflections. This is Legacy of Petra. part of the Penhaligon's trade routes. Oh, as soon as I said that, I doubted myself. Is it part of their trade routes? I think it is. Maybe it's not. Well, it actually doesn't matter whether it is or it isn't. And I should also say, oh, Heineke's here as well. Thank you very much for watching. I should also say that because I rate this Penhaligon's, that may well mean that it's going to be discontinued fairly soon. So if you like the sound of it, or indeed if you have tried it and you like it, then you need to be purchasing yourself a bottle without delay, because it'll probably be gone very soon. Okay, this one, yeah, what's interesting about this one is that again, the familiar structure here is a kind of tobacco scent, resinous, balmy, balsamic, hay-like. But the twist here is the fennel note at the top, the kind of very, 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 very markedly anisic fennel note, which just works brilliantly. Reminds me of things like Mugler B-Men, or even Jean-Paul Gaultier Cocorico from many years ago, another discontinued scent. And it's just brilliant, because it lifts all of the heaviness of the things like the tobacco and the myrrh and the balsams and the resins, and just seems to pierce it through with shards of green light, and somehow makes it more modern, refreshes it, makes it more accessible, and more wearable. What have people been saying? Eric, going back to the Hermes, says, not my favorite Hermescence, nor even my favorite Nagel Hermescence, but I do enjoy it. Otis Film says, so glad to see Legacy of Petra make the list. It's a beautiful piece of work. Expecting a discontinuation imminently. I'll buy a bottle shortly. Sandy says, I only have one Penhaligon's, namely Halfeti Cedar, picked up only a few weeks ago. Hope you're enjoying it. Woozy says, all Penhaligons recently got removed from distribution here in Australia. Hopefully we get that when the brand comes back. Oh, that's a bit worrying. I wonder what Pooch are up to. Maybe there's going to be like a massive relaunch then. Yes, that this was, and I've worn it a fair bit. You know, considering I haven't had this bottle very long, that's actually pretty good going for me. And I've actually worn the Ulrich Lang quite a bit as well. Right, we have done 5, which is pretty good, and we are nearly at the half-hour mark, which is when I say that you are watching episode 332 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise. Thank you very much if you've tuned in live, or whether you're watching the recording. What we are doing is presenting my list of the top 10 perfumes of 2022. And as I say, we are at the halfway mark. Even if you're watching the recording, please do feel free to leave a comment, ask a question. I will get round to all of them in due course. And I would also be very interested to find out what some of your favorite perfumes of the year have been. But I think we need to move on, because we have 5 to go. And this one, again, is sort of veering more towards the quieter side. And maybe some of you will be surprised to see this one here, but one thing is for sure is that maybe a lot of you haven't actually tried this one yet, because this is exclusive to one retailer. Okay, so next on the list we have from Diptyque, Opsis, composed by Fabrice Pellegrin, which marks the first time that the brand has done an exclusive perfume for any retailer. Surprise, surprise, the retailer in question happened to be Harrods. I guess if you're going to do an exclusive, Harrods is probably a good one to go for. Let me do a little bit of rearranging here. Opsis, really, says DJ. Yes, really. I was taken with it, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, it's I found myself thinking about it a lot and wanting to wear it. It is in many ways a fairly kind of straightforward musky iris. So again, going back to what I was saying at the beginning of the broadcast about, you know, familiar structures that we know really, really, really well. Oh, Keith, thank you so much. Very, very kind of you. Wishing you well in 2023, and right back at you. And I'm sure everybody wishes you well. Gosh, this is a little bit overwhelming, but thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful. Keep it coming, yeah, guys. I need to buy some of these. No, I am kidding. I'm joking. Okay. But what made this one interesting for me was the was how Fabrice Pellegrin really didn't hold back with the pepper note at the top. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, well, peppery iris actually, even though we have smelt it before, is maybe not something that we smell a lot of the time, and it makes the iris less melancholy. Not that I've got any problem with the melancholy iris, as you know, if you're a regular viewer, but in this case, it makes it less melancholy. It makes it less funereal. But it also doesn't immediately make it lighter and more modern. This has got a very, very curious vintage feel. The perfume was inspired by London's theatre scene as of several decades ago. And you can imagine, people backstage. Oh, Woozy, gosh, thank you very much as well. Here is $5 Australian, which after conversion is probably nothing. Of course, it's not nothing. Don't be silly. Thank you very much. But it's the thought that counts. Absolutely, it's the thought that counts. Love your work, Pop. Thank you so much. This is yeah. Thank you. And even an Australian cent wouldn't be nothing. This is very kind. I feel like I'm on QVC or something. This is not what usually happens in these videos, but thank you so much. What was I saying? Yes, so that's why this is here, because I enjoyed the fact that there is a kind of sense of mystery about it. The iris is being presented almost as though you see it through gauze. Do you remember when, I think it was Alberto Morillas who did Iris Prima for Penhaligons many years ago, which also had this sense of that was inspired by the ballet scene, right? And powder and ballerinas being evoked somehow through iris. But that one to me always felt a little bit heavy-handed because it had such a high dosage of musks. This one, I think, takes a similar idea and does it much better because it does it in a more refined, quieter, more sophisticated way. And again, like the Lethe, even though it is restrained, even though it is relatively unostentatious, it does last. It really, really lasts for quite a while. And I just hope, for the sake of everybody else out there, that it does become more widely available, or at least that Harrods make it more widely available. I have no idea what the basis of the exclusivity is, but most things are not exclusive ad infinitum. And so I would have thought that maybe after a while it might be available, like on the Diptyque website through them directly. I'm not sure. Rachel, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very, very grateful and really, really humbled by this. Thank you so much. I was not expecting this, so I think maybe I just need to, at the risk of turning into a gibbering wreck, I just need to carry on. And we're already at number 7 on the list. I can't believe it. This is Ierofante by Quartana, composed by Luca Maffei. Joseph Quartana, the founder of this brand, creative director of the brand, came on this channel not that long ago, actually, to do an interview, which I personally thought was great. I thought he came across so well, so interesting. Joanna, gosh, QVC. Happy New Year, happy new and old perfume, Mr. P, and everyone. Woozy British Pan will soon be the lowest. Well, yeah, you're not kidding there, Joanna. You're absolutely not kidding there. But thank you very much. I shall be enjoying several coffees thanks to your generosity. Quick, someone donate their life savings so he implodes. I'm not going to say anything anymore now. Right, let's do some housekeeping here so that we can see everything. Actually, that needs to, let's just move that aside because I haven't got a full bottle. So let's put that there. Let's put this here. How's this looking? I need space for 3 more bottles, and they're a little bit on the large side. Keith says, it's the end of the year and I just wanted to show my appreciation for the wonderful content you have provided over the last year. I'm going to say my thank yous to all of you at the end, but thank you. So, Ierofante. Yeah, again, really, really enjoyed wearing this one. And it's a perfume that genuinely takes you on a journey. And, lo and behold, actually, it is very much the journey that the brand wants to take you on. It all works. The concept works, the execution works, and you go from from violence and explosiveness, thanks to this rocket fuel note, to a place that is much calmer and quieter and more sedate and more meditative. And oh my God, I think I am about to implode. I have to stop and say thank you. Angie, thanks for all the wonderful content this year. Looking forward to more perfume conversations. Thank you so much, Angie. I'm really, really, really grateful. I need to carry on because otherwise people watching the recording are actually going to wonder. The doorbell's gone, so Madame Persolaise has now got to get the doorbell. Maybe that's one of you turning up with another donation. Natasha says a little toward the Iris Gris fund. Oh, that's very sweet. Actually, maybe that is what I will do. I will put these donations towards that, and I will always remember that was your gift to me as a result of this video. So yes, let's do that. Whatever gets gathered gets put towards the Iris de Gris fund. Really, really good idea that I've just come up with. Ierofante, composed by Luca Maffei. Yeah, and it reminded me of Bulgari Black by Annick Minardo from all of those years ago. Oh, actually, no, I'm losing it. Natasha's idea, I should have said. I am losing it. You're causing me to lose my marbles. I need to breathe now. Really love Ierofante, and do purchase some Iris de Gris, says Rachel. I will. I promise I will. And I will come back and show you that I have. And you could sort of put it alongside the Opsis and Lethe in the sense that it's not loud, then I think that's what's interesting about its rocket fuel note, that it's not like we had from, what was the Gucci? Was it Gucci Guilty Apps? Thank you so much, Yvette. You are such a great educator. Very happy with the masterclasses interviews. And Wendy says, just pretend this is a Twitch hype train. What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. Thank you so much for all the education. And Bart says, thanks for the great content. Happy New Year. Now that's come through, I think, as Polish currency. So I'm going to say, strasznie dziękuję bardzo. Scented Knit says, Happy New Year and happy sniffing. This is amazing. Thank you. We need to move on because I need to allow myself some time to do the thank yous at the end. What about the licorice in this one, says Gonzalo? Is there meant to be? I can't even remember. IW707, Happy New Year, and thank you for wonderful content from Brainy, California. Thank you so much. And Devour Their Souls, we're grateful for bringing light in the grey day. You're the ones who do that for me. And so now we're going to make things a little bit sadder with the 8th one on the list. Charles, thank you so much as well, with some exquisite sadness, courtesy of Antoine Lee and Eugene, the debut scent from Eugene's brand Les Abstraits. This is La Douleur Exquise, LDE water scent. La Douleur, okay, I got it. La water scent. Isn't it just great? And Eugene has actually said that he would like to come onto this channel for an interview, so he and I just need to coordinate dates with each other, and we will make it happen sooner rather than later. What a tremendous debut. This is great, and I suppose this is one that doesn't fit into this idea of a familiar structure with a bizarre twist, okay? This is just a familiar structure, a kind of vintage structure, done in a really, really great way. Are we getting higher or lower on the list, says Karen? No, they're not in any particular order, okay? So we're not sort of going from the best one to the... I can't put them in order, so they are just the top 10. This is... My wife is Polish and says cześć, says Devour Their Souls. Cześć, back at your wife, and wesołych świąt, and wszystkiego najlepszego for the new year. This is, oh my goodness, James, I don't even know what that currency is. What is IDR? Because that looks like a huge number. Happy New Year, and thank you for all you've done over the years to educate and entertain us. Thank you very much, James. IDR, I'm going to have to look that up. Anyway, I need to stay focused. La Douleur Exquise, Indonesian rupee, says Annabelle. Oh, that's really cool. Indonesian rupees. I don't think I've ever had Indonesian rupees. Douleur Exquise just works brilliantly, again, conceptually, because it is like the scent of working your way through a kind of sadness, and coming out the other side and realizing that you need to come to terms with the harm that has been done to you in the past. And the way that this is expressed, thanks to the genius of Eugene and Antoine Lee, is through a kind of leather patchouli rose combo that is just fantastic and so faceted and so constantly changeable. You never really know what this scent is going to present to you. Again, it was one of the ones that when I tried for the first time, I thought, oh gosh, this is a good piece of work. Let's give it a try. Let's wear it. And then as I wore it and as the days passed, I sort of thought more and more and more, no, this is actually really, really special. And thank goodness that somebody like Eugene, who is obviously so well versed in the language of scent, has been able to find the means and the ability and the time to create a brand of his own, because these are the sorts of brands that we need more of. I'm thinking of him. I'm thinking of Barbara Herrmann with her Eris brand. People who, yes, obviously need to make a living and want to be able to pay the bills by making the brand, but also want to give us beautiful work and quality work. Natalia, strasznie dziękuję, ślicznie. It's really, really generous. And Devour Their Soul says, Kraków is my favorite city apart from my hometown. Kraków is very, very special. And actually, I've just come back from Warsaw. I flew back from Warsaw on Wednesday. What day is it today? Yeah, just 2 days ago. So, I popped over to Warsaw for Christmas. So La Douleur Exquise is something else. You need to check out. You need to check out the brand's work. And we are down to 2 now. The reason why I have left one of these for number 9, or towards the end, I should say, is because this is a beast. Okay, this is a huge scent, and so I thought I can't possibly spray it early on. And it's also probably the most divisive one, because I still haven't fully myself decided whether I like it, but I have to admit that it's an extraordinary piece of work, and it's the second one that we have on the list from Quentin Bisch, so it's been a good year for him. And this is from Marc-Antoine Barrois. This is Encelade. I didn't know you were from Poland. I thought you were from Iran, says RN. Well, I'm kind of both, because my dad is from Iran and my mom is from Poland. So there you go. Now, Encelade, I'm kind of worried about spraying this, because when you spray this stuff, it just sticks around forever. Encelade, I don't like it, says DJ. Now, it is challenging, but there was nothing else like it this year. I can also think of nothing else like it that has been released for a long time. And so I thought, well, on that basis, on the basis of, wanting something, or wanting to give praise to something and recognition to something that's original, that is bold, that is really, really striking, I thought, well, I've got to include this. It's also very, very, very strange at the beginning. Nobody else seems to have mentioned the thing that I get at the very beginning, so I kind of thought, okay, well, it's just me. But the very, very first time I smelt this, I got this particular recollection in my head, this evocation, and I still do every single time. Maybe you had to be a kid in the 80s to get this, but it reminded me of when it was Christmas time, and those of us who had fake Christmas trees at home, although I suppose you could do this with a real tree as well, you used to be able to get fake snow in an aerosol, in a spray, and you'd give it a good shake and spray it all over the tree. And there's something about that kind of weird green rhubarby plasticky thing of the opening of this that reminds me of that stuff that we used to spray on the Christmas tree. And some weird thing has just popped up on my screen, and I don't want it to be here. So can it just go away, please? Thank you very much. It's gone away. Right. I couldn't share the room with Encelade, says Tina. It is far bigger than me. Yes, it is huge, and I think that's almost a problem. You know, if you want to wear it, if you want to pull it off, go for it. But I found it personally overwhelming. But you know, it almost doesn't matter. It is an extraordinary piece of work, a really, really noteworthy piece of work. Encelade was doing my head in, but I kept my sample. We'll revisit, says Joanna. And also, it is like one of the most gigantic, most sort of humongous vetivers that I have smelled for a long time, because that weird green rhubarb thing then goes into a vetiver. J Mintry, thank you very, very much. Very, very generous. They must have had a gun to Bisch's head to make him not use Akigala wood, but I suspect it's there anyway, says DJ. Yeah, I think it's in there as well. But it's you know, it's a real huge vetiver. And I know that when I walk out of this room after I've done this video and I've got my blotters there, I know that when I come back into this room, I don't know, half an hour later or something, this will be the main thing that I will be smelling, the Encelade. And I guess that's why it deserves a place on this list, because so nothing like Ganymede then. Because it's quite unique, one of the most polarizing releases of the year, I think. And I thought, well, I can't keep going on and on about how I want things to be polarizing and then not give credit to the one that really is polarizing. Catherine, thank you very much. Thank you for the fantastic content. I have really enjoyed your posts. Thank you very, very much indeed. And we are down to number 10. Which is by no means the last one, because in some ways you could say that in terms of how often I've worn it and how often I've thought about it, it's kind of my favorite one of the year, but I'm not going to single it out. It is from Acro, of course, composed by Olivier Cresp, because everything in the brand has been composed by him. This is Ink. Gavin says Uncut Gem, question mark. No, I wasn't quite so much of a fan of that one, so no, it's not on the list. Ink had to be on the list. There was no way that Ink was not going to be on this list this year. Have I got room for it? Let's just try and get them all in. Are they all in here? Come on, let's bring them all in here. Thought Vetiver Bourbon might have made it on the list over on Encelade. So Vetiver Bourbon, for people who don't know, is the scent, the new one from Parfum d'Empire. It is a beautiful vetiver, really extremely done vetiver, but maybe just a tiny bit more predictable, maybe a more kind of standard vetiver, but you know, extremely well done. Let's try Ink. Oh, Paul Parfemo, thank you so much. Happy New Year. Just a little sign of appreciation. That's not a little sign at all. That is a very generous sign. Yeah, I loved Ink from the moment I smelt it, because it does actually evoke that kind of metallic, silvery, bitter quality of ink. But it makes it wearable somehow through the use of a very clever use of a white floral note. It's quite indolic. I think Ink is very, says Anamika, smelt it for the first time at Javoy the other day. And a lot of vetiver. You know, vetiver has been used to evoke ink before, most obvious example being Encre Noire for Lalique. But this one does it so well. Persolaise is going to be sleeping on the money after the stream, like the scene from Breaking Bad. I've never seen Breaking Bad. My brother rates Breaking Bad. So here we go. The 10 best of the year. The blog post to go with this will be going live in just a few minutes over on persolaise.com. But we have got just a few minutes for me to now. I feel like I've been saying thank you, and I'm just thinking, what's this video going to seem like for the people watching the recording, with me thanking every 2 minutes? But anyway, I'm going to add to the thank yous by saying even more thank yous. Folks, seriously, I would not be able to do all of the stuff that I do on this channel and over on the blog if it weren't for you. And I don't just mean the support with the coffees and the support with, you know, the donations like this, although obviously they are appreciated, but that is not the main reason why I do it. The main reason why I continue to do it is just because of your moral support, your emotional support, the fact that you are so unbelievably knowledgeable, so generous with your time, so generous with your kindness, with your encouragement. The demands of everyday life are challenging and difficult for all of us, I am sure. And, you know, when the weekend comes round or when another Sunday comes round and I think, oh gosh, you know, can I really squeeze in another video? What should I talk about? It is actually the thought of spending some time with you, uh, having a laugh with you, and then the witty comments that you leave. That is the main thing that makes me think, no, I am going to do it. I am going to set up the stuff. I am going to set up the perfumes, and I will have fun with all of you, with my friends who I've never met. Some of you I have actually met from around the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, Ringo, I should say thank you as well. Thank you to share your inspiring passion with so well chosen words. Thank you very, very much indeed. I could not ask for a better bunch of followers and supporters. You are all amazing. Madame Persolaise never watches these videos because she's got far better things to do, but I thank her as well for just making all of this possible, because it is because of her help and support that I am able to have the time to do all of this, as well as the help and support of several members of my family. So sending you nothing but my very, 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 very best wishes for the coming year. May it be happy and healthy and peaceful and prosperous and beautifully scented for all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Words cannot express. SMC says, Mr. P, you have brought more joy to us than you could ever know. That is, I'm probably going to start weeping now. So we need to stop. And Sharon, oh my goodness. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm really, really moved beyond words. If you are watching live and if you have got a little bit more time, then head over to the Instagram channel of Alice Duparc, because she's going to be doing a special episode of Desert Island Spritz in a few moments, and I will be one of the guests on there. Cheeks turning pink like your curtains. They are. I can see they genuinely are. Okay, we'd better stop it there. Huge thanks to all of you. Happy New Year. I will see you very soon in January. Take care now. Goodbye.